and welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I know, it's another year, another video. Becoming a little bit of a pattern, but this time, I thought instead of saying I'm working on something, and then doing something Halloween based, I would show you, give you a glimpse, a little treat, into what I've been working on for the last 3 years, off and on. Well, what I've been working towards, at least. Previously, I was working on a mod for 1.18, which if you watched the last episode, you would have seen that in that episode, I gave a preview of a Java mod I had written for production industries to allow us to transport items between different industries of the world. Similar to Transport Tycoon and the Millionaire mod. So, what I've written now is a new mod in 1.21.8 that I have been working on just recently. Is a bit of a follow-on from that mod, in that it's for the villager part. And what I wanted to do was make villages grow as you supplied the resources. And you would have seen in the opening time-lapse that these villages will grow and they become more city-like. In fact, some of them even turn into the Cyberpunk villages that we are currently walking through. But what I thought I'd do in this series is I would give you a bit of a preview into what's gone into this, how it works, what the features are, and if this is the first time you're seeing this channel, take a look around. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But let's go have a look at how this works. So, welcome to behind the scenes of the mod. This is the structure world, which has all the structures you would have seen in the previous couple of clips. And obviously there's a lot of code behind the scenes as well. Wouldn't be a mod if it didn't have code. A lot of this is using the vanilla structure generation code. Initially, it may be quite a small area, and the normal world gen will work fine. But because this mod is designed to expand as you give it resources, I've had to add a lot of code in and find where the ground level is, because that's not available once the trees are in. And that has probably been the biggest difficulty with doing this mod, is just finding that flat surface, or that surface to put things down. Let's have a look at some of these structures. And you can see directly behind me there are 3 plots. And each one of these, if you know how Minecraft structure generation works, they are defined by 2 blocks. We have a corner, which is this one here. And you can see it's just got a name. So this is Desert Meeting Point 2. And there is another corner here, which is the same again, Desert Meeting Point 2. And then we have the block here, which is the structure block itself. This determines the size and allows you to save the structure. So once again, this is Desert Meeting Point 2. Well, you would have seen in the time-lapse that the structures will upgrade to another level. So over here, we actually have the next option. Right, so we'll go from this to this. You'll see here, because I didn't want to have to define all the JSON files to do all this manually, I have created my own little structure block here. This is just a structure pool. And it gives the size, the relative position, the processor, the types, and that will indicate what it will pick from. You can see that this one here. This defines town center. That is actually the same as what is in vanilla, except for it's Minecraft, village, desert, town centers. You'll see here there's a little yellow line to indicate what it will pick from. So this will make one pool. If we go for our meeting point 2, the next one over here, which is another pool, yeah, it doesn't have a texture, doesn't really need one. This one here is called Desert Meeting Point 2, and that is saying if you see this structure, place one of these structures. And in this case here, each one of these upgrades from itself. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Over here, you can now see we run into a different style. And we have 2 of these blocks. If we look at this one here, it's for Desert Meeting Point 1. If we go back to here. This structure is Desert Meeting Point 1. Grade 1. We then go over to here. And one of these guys is Desert Meeting Point 1, Upgrade 1. Now, you'll notice at the end, it's got an underscore cyber. So each village has a type. It might be a vanilla one, or it might be another type. Currently there's only the two, Vanilla and Cyber. And the first thing it will do is it looks for a pool, which is the name of the original building, so this one here, plus its type at the end. So in this case, that pool is the most important thing there, because it will choose one of the options from that. But let's have a better look at each of these structures. So what I'm showing you here is the progression between the types. So Vanilla to Desert City, and then Desert Sea to Cyberpunk Dystopian, and in some cases there are multiple variants. Currently, I only have structures which are 2 to 3 stories, making it more of a town than a city, but the longer term goal is that they will continue to grow in height, so the further the city progresses, the higher the structures get. Because most of the upgrades have additional levels added, I had to think about how would someone get from the lower level to a higher level. So where do the stairs go? Where do the ladders go? And there is also some code that will align the placement for when a structure has to grow horizontally, not just vertically, which should allow for a much better growth. When doing these upgrades, I wanted to try and keep the desert vanilla feel. So many of the first upgrade levels use sandstone and its smooth and cut variants, as well as mixing in some terracotta, while the Cyber City style moves into a darker palette, consisting of the deep slate and tough block variants. But being technology based, frog lights and end rods add the lighting, and I've used a processor to inject colour back into the builds, similar to graffiti on the walls. And remembering, with that style, there is normally fog created from pollution and rain. So you would have seen how well the colours fused in while we walked through one of the generated cities in that second clip. Now I haven't got all the structures in this preview, but there are some structures that aid in the transition from vanilla into cyber. Sometimes just adding the first glimpse of technology, but somewhere the vanilla structures may not have been needed in their new form. Examples being the toolsmith or the farms, where the city would no longer produce the items within the city and would want input. And that works really well into the final goal of this mod, which is for the player to supply those resources so it can grow. And then we have the streets. As I mentioned, I wanted to use the vanilla structures, and originally I started with the vanilla streets, but as they are different sizes and not designed to connect back, I had a few problems of using, especially with the upgraded ones. So I switched all of the streets out to be structures which are all 25 by 25. Used the same design concepts, but just made them larger and straighter. So now, streets can turn twice and will easily connect back into another street, allowing for a much more city grid than the old ones did. These also have a very basic design. The first upgrade is just adding drainage, a little bit to the side. And then the cyber design swaps the sandstone with deep slate. Most of the design is then random jigsaw for adding decor such as lighting and signs and rubbish bins. So now we've had a look at the structures and how it works. There are obviously some things I need to still work on. Short-term goals, I want to get a texture for the block. You can see it just in distance there. Looks pretty crap currently. But I also want to make an interface so when you open it up, it tells you what resources, what goods, what items you need for the village to grow. And obviously I need to add the code in that only grows the village when those items have been supplied. I haven't quite determined yet if I add in support for delivering the exact resources or if you just provide goods and it will do the rest for you. You can also see that currently there is a bit of a bug where it will flatten the world like it should, but there are some weirdness it does on the outskirts. One of the things that's taken a while to do, and I still haven't quite got it working. I thought it was working, changed some code, and now it's not working. I also thought it would be really cool to add some animations in, and what you just saw on that pedestal was actually in-game, so I'm going to try and implement those animations into the dropping of structures or upgrading of structures so it looks a bit more professional and polished than it currently does. Longer term, I want to add in some support for fixing up gaps. sky bridges and pathways and trash cans and other things, and not to have big gaps between buildings or even small gaps. I want some of them to be really close together. And I also want to add in, we've got two reasonably big buildings next to each other. Let's tear those down and put a bigger building in its place. Obviously I want to put in support for more city types, like sky cities and all sorts of different things, which is going to take time because each one of those is more structures that have to be built. I also want to add in another aspect to the game for growth purposes, which is the ability for villagers, the actual things that walk around, to migrate between other villages. They'll take transport. If you put a minecart down at one village, they'll hop on those to take it to another village. Then that village grows slightly. I also want to add in some custom skins. Where a villager is currently just a desert villager, I want them to become more of a futuristic style, rather than just being that standard texture. I want them to fit in. Now we get to the part where I need your assistance. If you can build something, if you can make a structure or something, or you've got an idea for another city type, leave a comment down below and we can discuss it further. Just remember, I'm looking for something that will fit in with the vanilla structure system. But if you've enjoyed looking at what I've been working on for the last few years, don't forget to hit that like button, and I may make some more videos about what else I've been working on, because this is not the only thing, and I am heading towards a Let's Play. Otherwise, have a great day, and see ya!